Okay, we are going to go ahead and begin. Welcome. Thank you for joining for our presentation today on task management in SharePoint. We'll go ahead and get started. I am Will Cooper. I'm a SharePoint solutions developer, and I wear a lot of hats, as I'm sure each of you also do. I also run a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart. You can search for that on YouTube if you're interested. These are informational videos about how to do cool things in SharePoint and also Power Automate. And additionally, I run a platform for SharePoint called SharePoint Dashboards, and I'll talk more about that later. To tell you more about InfoWise, we're about making it simple and easy and about improving our tools. And our product is Ultimate Forms. Ultimate Forms is a add-in platform for SharePoint, which allows you to do all kinds of things that are otherwise not possible in SharePoint. This is a comprehensive toolkit, which you'll learn more about as I go forward. And it allows you to do these things without having to write any code. It's all done in the SharePoint user interface. After our main presentation, I'm going to do an additional presentation about SharePoint dashboards that'll come after the 30-minute mark. If you're interested and want to hold on for that, I have additional things to show you. We are going to do a drawing for a free shirt towards the end of our initial presentation. That is for people who are living in the US. For shipping reasons, we limit our audience for that contest to that. We do want your feedback and questions and input and all those kind of things, even though you're on mute. You can do that by using the questions tool and GoToWebinar. Please be patient. If we don't immediately post an answer to your question, we will get to those towards the end of the presentation. We are recording the presentation, so if you want to watch this later, this will be posted on YouTube, of course you can share that with other folks as well. So those are some of the ground rules. We'll go ahead and jump in. Ultimate Forms is available both for on-premise SharePoint and also for SharePoint Online. This is kind of how I view out-of-the-box SharePoint. A bit too bare bones. There's things that you want to do, such as email notifications, custom forms, custom print templates, etc., and they're just not there. You have to find other means to do it. Ultimate Forms really is all about adding your full toolkit. I have this picture of a workbench to illustrate that. We're giving you all those tools so you can do all those things that you want to do, and you can build comprehensive solutions in your SharePoint environment. All right, so let's jump to the focus of today's presentation, which is about task management. I'm going to discuss some key concepts that we all should be shooting for in any type of solution related to tasks, and many types of solutions are. So when you think in terms of project management or agile strategy, any of those type of things, task management comes into play. It's all these things are key things that we have to accomplish in any kind of solution in order to get user adoption, in order for it to get used and be successful. We need to have a simple, easy to understand dashboard. So here you see a screenshot, something that people would know without you having to do any training or explanation at all. Just an obvious interface. We want to make sure input of information is streamlined and simple. Again, this really shouldn't take any training or explanation. It should be self-explanatory. So we want to have a nice, simple, easy to use form. We want to, of course, facilitate for a dynamic number of tasks. Which is obvious, we need to add different tasks, but what's key about this is that we can add, update, or remove tasks very quickly in a dynamic manner, and the interface will update. Now, we need both what I would call a simple mode and an advanced mode, and in some cases, we do need that detailed information. So we want the ability to add that, but we don't want it every time. So having kind of a pop-up or a way to have that detailed information is very important. Naturally, email notifications are always going to be a part of the mix, and we want to have control over that. So We want to be able to notify users if they have tasks assigned to them, and poke them, if you will, that type of thing. In this system, I'm going to show you, it operates in what I just described, a simple and also an advanced mode, which is important because we want to give flexibility to the users. If I'm in a meeting or doing something quickly and I just need to note a task, but I don't have time to consider the due date, or I don't yet know who it's going to be assigned to, or I'm going to put the detailed notes, I need to be able to do that really fast with the fewest number of clicks or inputs necessary. So I need a simple mode, but I need also the ability to go into an advanced mode when I'm ready to gather up the detailed information. We have some form buttons just to trigger some actions. So this is process oriented. We have tasks. Of course, there's going to be updates in terms of the status. And then we want those buttons to be able to make those quick updates in the form for us, such as to let somebody know they need to do a task. We want a nice summary progress bar telling us how many have been done real time. And as I mentioned, we want to be able to poke the users with an email. We want to allow users to have the control to give people a nudge, let them know. So kind of an overriding theme, if you will, is we have simplification, streamlining, versatility. What all of us really are bombarded with anymore is just we're inundated with information and processes and additional steps. And of course, our time's at a premium. So we don't want to have that decision fatigue where if I'm making a task, I don't want to be forced to have to answer questions about everything every single time. And if I am, I'm probably just not going to use that system. All right, so let's go ahead and jump out of that. We're going to go to SharePoint Online. And I'm going to start by going through user interface to first demonstrate the system that I have, and then we'll talk about how it works, how it's put together, and how you can try this out for yourself. Now on my screen, I have a modern SharePoint list view, but it looks a lot different than what you would normally see in SharePoint. What you're seeing on the screen is a formatted view template, which is taking SharePoint list data and rendering it in a totally different way. And so what I'm going to do first is show you the simple mode of this task management system where I can make updates without having to go into a form view at all. So it's all about streamlining, being fluid, and saving those clicks. So notice as I hover over the interface, this is much like something all of us like to use, which is the grid view. I'm sure just about everybody on our session today has probably used Excel a lot. And the reason Excel has been around for so long and because we love it is because of some of those reasons. It's just fast and easy updates. So let's go ahead and put things in here. What I want you to take note of is I can just quickly think up tasks, and I'm not having to put in 7 or 8 fields of information every single time. So just stream of conscious as I'm working on something. Maybe I'm in a meeting, I could just put this very fast. That's a really key concept. Okay, and then I can hover over these other fields. I can go ahead and put who it's assigned to. Again, this is just keying into SharePoint list data. And then I can just click in here. And of course, once I click into this, it's much like the quick edit mode in SharePoint. Here's the status field priority for priority. I can go ahead and switch the priority on these. And what's cool about this also is that they sort. If you notice that just bumped up, and that was because of the priority. And that's done for you. I don't want to think about sorting or anything like that. I just want the tool to go ahead and make those updates for me. And then the last one's for status. I can go ahead and do that. I'm not going to clear this one, but that will reset those. And then these empty slots are just ones that haven't filled up. So if you will, our simple mode is really just reflecting something that all of us learned to be able to use a very long time ago in our life. And that's just a clipboard with a piece of paper. We want this to mimic what it's like for us if we were not on a computer. We just had a sheet of paper and we're being able to jot things down quickly. That's what this view does for you. And then once something is complete, we want to show that whole row blue. Notice the colors aren't filled in. And then also notice the progress bar at the top is automatically giving a nice visual indication of how many tasks have been set up. Now, the way this works is there's a single SharePoint record for each of these. It's a task list, if you will. There are up to 10 items for the task list. So on this view, you see I have 2 task lists. And if I want to create another one, let's just say I have travel project and I have more tasks than those 10. It's very simple. I can just make another one and say travel project part 2. I'll give that to me and save. Okay, so there's another board. So I can just keep making more task boards. Okay, so that's our simple mode. So already in really just a couple minutes, I pretty much explained everything about that. The one other thing was the detailed notes. Okay, so I don't have to do that, but if I want that ability, I can go in and put detailed information in here. I'm gonna make this really long to illustrate that this has the flexibility to handle that. Okay, I just click out of that. Notice the icon changed. That gives me a little bit of a clue that there's something there. And this is a shadow box, a hover window, if you will, which gives me that information. And it's green to let me know I can click into it and update it anytime. So lots of flexibility. So that's really important. It can handle the extreme ends of the spectrum, from extremely simple entry of tasks all the way to that detailed stuff. And I can do that anywhere along the way. That's the simple mode of the form. Now we're going to get into the custom form. So you'll notice I have that button up there that says Detail Updates. And this is the form design part of it. Again, we want to really make it easy on the user, simple concepts, that type of thing. These are all the same fields that you just saw in the simple version of the form, but this is kind of a more detail-oriented, kind of traditional form instead of the quick edit mode that you just saw. So I can make those same updates in either location. Either one of those will work. And then also those color concepts are important. You can assign whichever colors you want, but you can see I've got different colors according to the status or priority. Now, I only want to see the tasks that I need. So obviously I'm just adding tasks as I go along. I want you to see how in this form mode, as I continue to go down and add tasks, it basically accordions out and shows me the form sections that I need. So if you notice, right below this task, it said, oh, you just did task 4, you might want to be doing task 5. But what it doesn't do is show me those other additional form sections unless I would actually need them. Okay, so just simple concept, simple entry. But what's important about this is, unlike some web forms, we're not going to have all those strict validation requirements where I say, oh, you have to put who it's assigned to, and you have to put when it's due, and you have to put the priority, and you have to put the status. Those are the kind of things that interfere with our mental process, and they're going to turn us off from using the tool. And ultimately, we're just not going to use the tool at all if it's doing that type of thing. So in any of these sections, I can put in, just the name of the task alone if I want to, and fill in other stuff later. And that's just going to make it easy to work with. Okay, so once I'm done with those updates in the form mode, I can just scroll down and hit save. It'll return me back to the task board. That'll update. Now, if you recall, I was in I was making updates in this task board. Then there's our send out meeting summary. And then I can clear those fields as well. I can either do that from here, or I can also do it by just clicking on the button in the form. So I just click on the clear button, and notice that it got rid of the task right below that because we don't need that anymore. And then also, if I need to attach files, there's your attachment section, so you can drag and drop into that and just hit save. Okay. And the other one was the email update. So I want to show you what happens when you do the email update. So we have this email button at the top of the form, so that can just be manually triggered. One thing I've found is I talked about decision fatigue, that we're being inundated with all this information and all these things that we have to put in. I tend to believe we get inundated with emails too. I know I sure do. And rather than just have this thing blast email people on every update, which I don't think people would like and actually have a negative effect, this is really built so it'll just send the email when we click on the button. That way we can kind of minimize this and just send those updates when we want to, and it's user driven, but just through that one simple step. And the email notification just sends summary information about what's in the email, lets people know what's due, what's been completed, how much progress has been done, that kind of thing. And all that just happens automatically through the email alert notification system. So what's awesome is this template I'm showing you right now is available to you free immediately today after the presentation. You can just go into the InfoWise tool. The first thing to do would be, if you don't have InfoWise, to install the trial software, and then you can download this. I'll show you where that would take place. Give me 1 second. I'm going to duplicate this. This is the Ultimate Forms design screen. This is the hub, if you will, that lets you work on and create those things. So I'll go to, I just want to show you this template I'm showing today. You can download this from the Install Business Solution. So once you've installed the Ultimate Forms app, you just click on the Webinars tab. You can see here's the template from last month, our dynamic approval system. You're going to see a tile for the one I did today. So be sure that you take advantage of that later today so you can actually try out the stuff I'm showing you on my screen. All right, let's talk about how these tools work a little bit. I told you that you can build these things without code, which is true. We're going to look at the Form Designer tool. This is something you can have right in your SharePoint interface. And what's great about this is I can make this form look however I want without writing any code. So I can do things like pick a different color swatch for the background color. Maybe I want to try out green, and hit save, and it just changes immediately real time in the form. All right, back that up. Let's go for dark blue because I don't know, why not? Oh, that's not good. Okay, I'll do one more change. Go back to light blue. Notice I can fine tune that. And then I can do things like put on these buttons, and that lets me choose things that happen. So that's for my email trigger. And then I have these clear buttons to which you just saw me use. So the way that works, I just come in here, I say, I want this text to say clear. I'm able to put a little icon on it. And then all I did is go to this drop-down picker and pick the fields. And in this case, basically, I'm just telling it, okay, when the clear button gets clicked, make task 1 blank, person 1 blank, and so on. It just clears out those fields for me. So really simple, easy to understand concept. And then the other part about this was I really just want to show the task slots that are necessary. So although there's 10 slots to do those tasks, I just want to show according to what's been used so far. So I always show the first task slot, and then after that, it's according to whether or not something's been filled in. And I want to show you how easy that is to do. If I go in here, there's this container. Containers are a big part of this form tool and lets you do these grid style layouts. I can make a permissions role, and it's very simple. I just set this condition that says if task 1's not blank, so I said task 1 not equals nothing, then make that section writable. And if that's not true, it'll be hidden, as you saw in my demonstration just a moment ago. And then I just work my way down the line. the same way. I don't want to see task 3 unless there's something in task 2, and so on for each of these. So I have this long form, but it's cool because it's a dynamic form. The form display changes according to the rules I'm setting up. So I can put this all in here and facilitate my users that way. The email notification rules are also very easy to work with. So for this one, I have a very simple case. I just really need that one condition. So this is something where if you don't have these tools, you'd otherwise have to do something like use Power Automate, which is a bit time consuming and not especially efficient or easy to work with. In this case, I just worked through these tab sections, and what I did is I just specified the people in those fields. So I have an assigned to for each of the tasks. I put those in there. I put the task list owner in, and it's pretty straightforward. Whenever that email update button gets clicked, I wanted to send out my template, and my template is done through a visual interface. So I have a template called tasks, email update, and this is how I put together my email. What I do is I just basically select the fields that I wanted to insert. This was pretty easy to put together because all I had to do is just basically kind of repeat the same stuff over and over again. So I did some copy paste and repeated those. So you can see it says task 1, person 1, etc. And that's how it dumps all that information in the email. So I just set that up and map it to my email trigger rule, and that's all there is to it. The indicators, the color choice field, those are really easy to work with. Obviously when you're dealing with things like priority or status, it's very typical to use either an icon or color to indicate that. So, I had high as red and medium gray, low blue. I just did that by doing these color swatch picks. Or alternatively, I could pick icons. There's 250 different icons in the interface that I can choose from. So that's just really nice. You don't have to do any coding or special setup, but you can do that for any kind of choice field. In fact, it's pretty uncommon anymore that I would set up a choice field and not take advantage of that. All right, so let's talk about your next steps and how you can take advantage of some of what I showed you. As I mentioned, once you've installed the trial software, you can download and try out this template that I was showing today. And the first step for you is going to be to go to the InfoWise site and do this try now for free. And once you've done that, you can click on install and just click on the buttons. That'll let you install the software. Once you have it installed in your SharePoint environment, you'll have full access to all the tools. You can try this template or any other ones that we have loaded in there, and that's all there is to it. So that's the most important thing you could do after this presentation, just so that you can practice and try this out and see how this stuff works. There are lots of options, lots of things you can learn. In our resources area, we have tutorials which you can take a look at, especially the getting started. We'll show you just how to get going with those tools. Those articles are step-by-step walkthroughs to help you get going. In particular, I recommend the getting started training. If you end up going with that, you can then look at other options. We have formal training available if you want to have an instructor-led training to work with you and your team to help you get going with the tools. And we're all the time adding new features and functionality in these tools. And that's what's really awesome about it. I've been working with the InfoWise team for almost 10 years now, and every single month there's new functionality being added. So it's incredibly deep and feature rich. But the thing that's nice is that it's accessible. So you can get going, especially with the form builder tool, and get going with those basics. But as you gain experience and practice building forms, it's really pretty extraordinary how many different things you can do. So another option that I would recommend, if you have a particular project, it seems like every customer that I talk to, they have what I call the burning need project. There's an immediate need. There's something that's got to be built, or replaced or things like that, schedule a demo with us. If you click on the request a demo button, it's just a simple little form you can fill out, and that lets you set up a one-on-one conversation with one of our team members where we can talk to you about our tools, answer your questions directly, and help you understand what the path forward would be for your project in SharePoint. So that's really some of the key steps. I'm going to go ahead and go to some of the questions, and then we're going to do the shirt drawing. So let me go to that real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, there's a question. In simple mode, you can only have 10 tasks per border list. That's right. It's a task board model, but what I want you to make sure you understand is that it's one SharePoint record per task board. It's incredibly simple to just keep adding task boards, so that's all that you have to do. And if you notice, I only put in 2 fields. I put in the name of my task list, and then I put in a task list owner, and then it immediately appeared on the display. So you just keep adding more. So in effect, you're just partitioning it up into pieces, which is good. It's more of like a bite-sized concept. I am recording the webinar. It will be on YouTube, and we will send you out a link to that later today. There's a question about on-premise business solutions. I'm not sure about that. Some options are specific to SharePoint Online. Some are on-prem. There's some differences with that. So I'm not certain about that. How to set up the custom list view page. That's baked into the template. You won't have to do anything at all. So if you just download the template, you can have access to that. So you won't have to set it up other than installing the template. It does use custom view template, which comes from my tool, which we're getting ready to talk about, which is SharePoint Dashboards. But you will not have to do setup. It's automatic as part of the install. All right, one other question, then we're going to do a shirt drawing. Okay, there's something about interfacing with other apps or things like that. In general, this is a solution that's really about Microsoft 365 and the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So that kind of functionality you could do through workflow or other means if you want to push data back and forth in and out of the Microsoft 365 environment, but that's a little bit out of scope for what we're doing today. Let's go ahead and do a drawing for a shirt. So we have an embroidered polo shirt with InfoWise Solutions, and I want to mail that out to one of you guys today. So give me a number from 1 to 100. I'll pick a winner. This is for people who live in the United States, and I'll pick a winner in about 20 seconds. While you guys are doing that, I'll just describe what we're going to do next. So we wrap this up. We're going to move on. I'm going to be doing a presentation about SharePoint Dashboards, which is a companion tool, if you will, something you can use additional to Ultimate Forms to do some really awesome looking SharePoint dashboards and visualization in your SharePoint environment. All right, and I'm just about to pick a winner. All right, looks like I got somebody hit me just about on the nose. Aaron Waller, if you can send me an email, my email is willc@infowisesolutions.com. That's WILLC@infowisesolutions.com. I'll need your street address and your shirt size, and I will mail that today. Congratulations, Aaron. Okay, so let's go ahead and pivot. Let me give you one last chance. Do you guys have any other question about the task management solution that I demonstrated? Do you have any questions about how to get that, how to use it, any of the features or functions, any of those type of things? I'd be happy to answer. Or do you have any questions about about InfoWise, the Ultimate Forms product, or how to get there? Okay, I don't have any questions on that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the presentation. And let me get my screen moved over. I've got something loaded up in another browser. Thank you for your comment, Pam. Okay, so this is SharePoint Dashboards. Again, this is a companion tool, if you will. This is something you could use in addition to Ultimate Forms. And the point of this tool is to allow you to do really awesome looking visualization of data, in particular, especially in SharePoint Online. There are some limitations with on-premise SharePoint as it relates to what this tool uses, which is column and view formatting, which is new functionality for modern list views. When you come into the site, the first thing you should do is check out the gallery. You'll see that once you click on the Getting Started, and it gives you a preview, if you will, of different options, things that you could set up in SharePoint using these templates. Like Ultimate Forms, none of these require you to write any code at all. It's simple configuration choices for your environment. And also this gives you extra functionality in terms of things you can click on, that type of thing. You can sign up for free to use 20 of these templates. There are 20 free templates. And then additional to that, the full product, there are an additional 64 pro templates. It's pretty easy to know which is which when you're browsing through here. You can click into any of these tiles to see a preview of what it does, regardless of whether you have that. And you can do things like change the configuration options and play around with the tool to get an idea what it looks like. What this does is it takes your SharePoint list view and transforms it into something like what you see here, which is a chart or other type of thing. And there's all kinds of different functionality. For example, the one I use more than any other one is the edit button. For whatever reason, Microsoft didn't include the edit button in modern list views, and it's something that just about everybody would like to be able to use. This is a really simple template. It just allows you to put a little button on there, and when you click on that, it opens the edit form in SharePoint. And that one's free. So that's a good reason to sign up. A lot of those buttons are. And then you have things which are a lot more advanced, like the charts. And what I'm going to do next is actually go through and I'm going to demonstrate some of the functionality, some of the things that you can take advantage of with these templates. Okay, so I'm going to jump to my SharePoint environment and I'm going to go into some demonstrations. The calendar in SharePoint is an area of a lot of attention. A lot of people want to use the calendar, but they don't necessarily like the features, or shall I say lack of features, with the modern calendar in SharePoint. And there is a template for that. I'm going to demonstrate that now. So this is one of the templates in the SharePoint Dashboards gallery. In general, this is designed to replicate or mimic the look and feel of what you might see in Google Calendar, because that's something a lot of people use. So I can do things like go to different views. I'm going to go to the 3-month view. It's automatically going to go to the current month. Notice that it highlights the day that I'm on, and it's highlighting the weekends. That was all done through the configuration. So the way it works is over on the configuration. Let me search for that. Basically, you come in here and you set the configuration, and then when you're ready, you can copy the template over. And then you can just click on the days to edit them. Okay, so the date's already filled in automatically at the top. So let's do. And then what's cool is you can do color highlighting and other options. So I can put in my start date, much like the task management system. You don't necessarily have to fill in, all of the information. You can, fill in whichever information you want. All right, so we'll say the end is that. And then we'll do pick an icon. I'll do a little green square. Notice that the top of the form is going to update automatically. And then if I want to highlight the day, I can make it I can make it a different color. Well, that's the foreground color. Hold on, let me do that. And then I can go ahead and once I'm done, I can just close out of this box. Okay, so that's actually making, change the color of the event. And then I can put multiple ones on there. So one big limitation with the modern calendar is you can really only put a couple of things, and then it just says things like click for more. So it really only limits you to what you can put in the box. So I'll make this one. Oh, that comments is messing me up. I knew something was messing me up. Okay, so I just closed out that window. All right, so this is going to be from noon to 1. And then I'll do a highlight color for this one. Let's do green. So it just updates the view immediately. And I can just scroll through these. So if I scroll through, this is kind of like a typical calendar page. Now, if I was on the Microsoft calendar, I'd have to click on different buttons and things like that. But I can control this view and have up to 8 different events. It just gives you an alternative way to show like a company calendar, that type of thing. So that's just an example template that I wanted to show to you real quick. Yeah, I wasn't logged in. I was trying to figure out why I didn't see the copy template button. There it is. So when you get these, all you have to do is just copy and paste. So you copy, it tells you exactly what to do. It says click on the list view header, do this, do that, save. So it gives you the instructions, and in SharePoint, all that you have to do is do exactly what it told you to do. Format current view. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go, I'm in the advanced mode, and you just copy and paste, and it just goes right in there. So that's all that you have to do to apply this. There's a lot of cool interactive ones. So I'm going to show you from a user standpoint just to get to the fun stuff. This is a yes/no column where I'm just clicking directly on the checkbox to change the value from the form. One thing I did just recently is a value slider. So let me see if I can find that real quick. I just called it slider in here. Okay, so quantified information numbers is really common, right? This gives you a way to set a number, through just like moving a slider back and forth, which is, definitely a very cool option. And you can control that. You can do different increments and things like that. You can do other kinds of inputs as well. So I can do things like maybe I have a checklist. Okay, so here's an example where you can do inputs directly from the view. Like the task list management system I showed you, the idea here is to speed up the use for your users. Maybe I have a large list of data that I'm working from. I don't want to go into the form mode. And I also, maybe I don't like the quick edit mode. Obviously, people can make mistakes and that type of thing. So I just click on the radio buttons, and then this one's a checklist. So this would be like with a multi-select where I want to allow to have multiple different options. So there's lots of options in there. What I recommend is you basically can just get started. As I say, you've got 20 templates you can start with for free. I would play around with those, especially the buttons. You can do like the edit button, the view button. There's thumbnails. There's a lot of different things that you can tap into for free. An interesting thing that Microsoft just allowed the ability to get into is actually customizing the command menu. This command bar sometimes is annoying. It might show things to your users or things that you don't want to see. Maybe you don't need them to have the share button or something like that. If you want the ability to clean that up and do it really easily, without any kind of complication, there is the ability to customize the command bar as part of one of these templates. So basically, this tool, this shows you options that appear by default above lists or libraries in SharePoint. And usually there's a lot of extra clutter. There's things that I don't really want to see. I would expect in many cases, your users don't really need to see an integrate button on the library. So in order to exclude things, it's really easy. But this lets me build that up. I can say, I don't want automate or integrate. So I just come into this menu and I say, exclude that one. And this preview is helping me see what I'm getting rid of. All right, so I can go in here and I say integrate, get rid of it. So normally that's the pattern. You're removing things. You do have the ability to add options in different cases. And this is just a great way to clean that up. So you can add things. You can even pick your own icons and things like that. But if you've ever wanted the ability to customize what's shown on the command bar header above lists or libraries, that's a great way to do that. Let me pause for a second and see if you guys have questions about that. All right, so let me go on. I'm just going to continue to show you guys some more templates. This is stuff that you can really play around with yourself. Like I said, even if you don't have that full license yet, every single one of these templates, you can get into the preview screen, adjust settings, and see just exactly what it does. I'll show you, for example, the progress indicators. There's some very cool ones. Here's one that's what you call like a radial gauge. I can come in here and, try things like adjusting the width or height of these. In that case, I made them really big. And then I can change the colors. So all you have to do is pick on a color swatch and you can see it updates. In this case, it changes according to threshold value. So you can indicate that as well. So I say there's a threshold at 30 and 60. Maybe there's like a key step, as far as, where you want the color change. So rather than just filling it, this is kind of an interesting alternative instead of a pie chart. And every bit of it's configurable, which is pretty amazing. So I can even see, like, it's kind of like a donut shape. I can decide, how big the center is, that kind of thing. I can decide whether I want rounded ends on that. And all these are just little checkboxes and sliders that I can choose from. Okay, so let me go back to the gallery. All right, so what's the next step for SharePoint Dashboards? It's really simple. You just come in here and it says get started. Just click on start for free. And once you do that, it'll take you to a form. You just have to put in your name and your email and it'll ask you how you found us, that type of thing, and just click sign up. You'll get a login right away, which lets you log into the tool. And then, once you have that, you can just, you just click on the login button and go from there. So you just click on sign in and just go to, it's called Dashboard Maker Lite. So that's what you can start with. It'll ask you for your login and then you can get the cool free stuff. So that's how you can get started with it. And then the paid product does offer monthly pricing for that. It's really inexpensive, especially in comparison to any other alternatives. You only need one license just for yourself or for any other users who want to tap into it. And you can just do pay-as-you-go pricing for that. So it's $29 a month. So really attainable. And obviously, if you're not sure about the product, you could always just sign up for a month. And if you don't turn out that you like it as much as you thought you might, you can just cancel whenever you want. So really easy to tap into the stuff and get going with it, with very little steps. You don't have to install anything. All of these are copy and paste templates, and the interface shows you exactly what to do. There are video tutorials on all of these. So if you go into any one of these, see if this one has it. There's a little green button that says video tutorial. It'll take you to a little YouTube video that shows you how to set it up, which is usually just a couple of minutes. So it really kind of holds your hand and tells you exactly what to do. Like I say, you don't have to install anything to your SharePoint environment. As long as you have full control access in the site you're working on, you can just tap into this and start using these right away. All right. I think that's a lot. I really appreciate you guys who hung on for the second part of the presentation. I know it's a lot to take in, but I think these are interesting. Hopefully, I've opened up your eyes to some new possibilities of things that you can do in SharePoint. I will stick on the webinar just to answer questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I'm going to stay on the audio and answer questions.